Greetings from Snake Mountain Boat Works on Sunday, March 31, 2024. The Easter Bunny's come and gone, and our 1932 15.5 foot Chris Craft Runabout is sporting a new 5200 bottom all the way through the last step, which was applying 4 coats of Pettit Old Salem hard racing bronze bottom paint. So now we have her right side up, and if you remember at the beginning of this project, we talked about how good the cosmetics are on the exterior of her hull. So now we have the final step, which is deciding what to do. And our intentions, with the concurrence of her owner, are to lightly sand this, block sand this by hand with 320, just enough to take the sheen off. In fact, if you look right here, this is behind the windshield, this is in front of the windshield, and you see how this is a good deal more of a matte finish than that. That's sort of our goal. We would hand sand the entire hull, the decks, covering boards, transom, and hull sides, just enough so that we can apply 3 or 4, maybe 5 coats of finished varnish, at which point we can buff the hull and reinstall her hardware. It will be a while yet before she can go home, because her engine is still being built by Robert Henkel, Peter Henkel Incorporated, from Marine City, Michigan. Now, as we do this, I want to point out, because we very often get this question. You'll see that the white Sikaflex, or whatever was originally used to fill these seams, has gotten hard, brittle, and broken. And you see that opening right there. Look at this right here. I can't tell you how many people ask, why do you go to the bother putting all that white stuff in there? Is that just some kind of cosmetic thing, some kind of decoration? Well, in fact, it is cosmetic. It is not a decoration. It is a critical element to this process. Fail to fill your seams properly, and you know your feet are right down below, they're going to be wet. In fact, the whole time the boat's outside, whenever it rains, and it does, they're going to be wet. Why? Because these planks are joined with butt joints. That's a butt joint running right along there, all the way along, right here. This is a plank. This is a plank. This is just 2 boards butted together with a seam routed through the joint. If you fail to fill that seam properly and completely, at least halfway from the bottom up to the top of the seam, you're simply going to have a leaky deck and a leaky aft deck. So before we go any further, we will get out our reefing hooks, and again, with the owner's concurrence, if we do not strip all of this, whatever this material is, it's not Sikaflex, it's hard like chalk by now. And you can see that this foredeck is simply a sea of open seams. Every place I walk along here. Look at this one. All right, look at that. So, and here's a great example right here. Look at this one behind the windshield. All right, Let's follow this one all the way forward. You can't leave that like that. You can't just sort of say, hell, we'll just put varnish in there and it'll fill up the split. No, it won't. The varnish isn't made to do that. The varnish is insufficiently elastic to protect your deck, to protect the underside of the deck. You need to make it waterproof. For that, you need Sikaflex. Our method, once we have this all cleaned out, is to pay Sikaflex 291 LOT mahogany into all these seams. Let it cure. The nice thing about the mahogany, if you pick a spot, oh, here's one right here, where somebody in originally routing the machine, wow, this is an old boat. So somewhere in its life, it got a little nick. The nice thing about the mahogany Sikaflex is it will fill that up. And then additionally, if you'll look right here, this is a covering board seam. You can't just slap varnish over that. See how you can see the bungs? Those screws have backed out. They've popped the bungs. Here's a pop bung. This one's completely gone. There's no bung. Pop bung, popped, 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 popped. We really should go through and release these bungs that have popped and set the screws anew, or if in fact the screws are broken, then we have to dig them out. We have to toothpick the hole and replace that screw, put in a new bung, stain it to this color, and move forward. And then we'll have a great final finish. One of our other challenges is that the lettering on this boat is just beautiful. But this boat lives, if I remember right, in New Jersey. So that lettering, I can't tell, but it looks like it may be vinyl, is going to work in New Jersey, I don't think. And we can see this is just where the road rail built up some scuzz between it and the surface of the wood over the years. That's fine. Everything's fine. There's some bungs that have to be replaced before we can varnish, and we would stain and color those in so that you can't tell they've been replaced. They'll be hidden. So we will continue this coming week, have a conversation with the owner, and hoping that he will approve removing all of this white stuff because it's no longer serving its purpose. I'm now on the aft deck, and if you look right here, the aft deck's going to get wet as you run, correct? You got a big spray tail behind you. Well, get that spraying up here, and you end up with your bilge filling with water. It's just not right. So now we've got all the white gunk out of the seam channels. We've paid Sikaflex 291 LOT mahogany into them, and you're sitting there wondering, oh, that's really great. All those white seams disappear and become mahogany. No, not right, really. What we will do is mask off each seam line and then reach for Interlux striping paint. We've tried the Interlux topside, the bright side paint in brilliant white, and it just does not do the job. It's too thin. It doesn't lie into the seams properly. So even though Interlux gets $25 or $30 for a half pint of the striping paint, it's worth the money. So what we will do is we mask off each of these lines using frog tape, and then paint the seams. And then the trick is, don't let the paint dry. Pull that tape right off. Yes, I know, if you're gonna do a second coat, you have to do it all over again. If you let the paint dry into the edge of the tape, you risk tearing your nice razor sharp line. So once you've got everything painted, you of course have already sanded all of the decks, so you're ready for varnish there. Let that paint cure, and then on the flat surfaces, on the decks, running boards, you want to use Pettit Captain's Ultra Clear Varnish, not an amber varnish. Here you've gone through all of this hell to produce nice, brilliant white lines. Now you slobber amber varnish on it, and guess what? You get amber lines, and you get mucky brown lines, and it's just hideous. It just, quite frankly, it sucks. So we will put 4 or 5 coats on, and remember, that's after we've repaired the loose bungs, sanded, hand sanded, block sanded. Don't get a machine out. You don't want cross-grain scratches now. And she's just going to be brilliant. And I promise, on that day, we'll be back to you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now from Snake Mountain Boatworks.